Good morning, Redemption Hill. Today's Wednesday, what today is? The 10th, Wednesday the 10th, my Devo day. The 10th of June. And man, earlier this week it was crazy. Felt like for some odd reason we decided to experience winter all over again. I was working in my yard and freezing, wearing a hoodie and getting hailed on, and it was accumulating in my yard. It was just kind of nuts around here, but it was okay. I was still able to, I kept nice and cool, so that was kind of a good thing. I didn't get too warm, but I was actually freezing cold. That's not what I wanted to talk about this morning. I actually did want to talk about something specific. And I was reading an article talking a little bit about what's going on in our country and some of the things that we're experiencing when we're dealing with this the quarantine and the shutdown and trying to reopen the country, and everybody's kind of figuring out what's going on, what's the good thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do. And you know, Steve even shared a video last night that was kind of going like, I don't really know if that's quite yet the good thing to do, to just kind of think like nothing's wrong, because where that has happened in other parts of the state, that has gone very wrong. And so, you know, we're navigating a really interesting time, trying to figure out what is the best next move, what is the best next decision for not just ourselves, not just our own families and our own like circle sphere of influence, but also what are, you know, our leaders. They have to decide, you know, what's the next best move for everyone, for the state, for the country. And one of the things that I kind of dove into was the stimulus check. You know, the wonderful amount that they, you know, accumulated. They determined that every American citizen can, you know, who's filed taxes can benefit off of this stimulus check. And then they realized after noticing, basically they just kind of did some statistical research. I don't know how they do this, but it's magic. Like 70%, they were done with the stimulus check. They were through it in 2 weeks. And then then it was up to like 95% were done with the stimulus check by week 4. And so the American family or the American household blew through that money so fast that they're going like, okay, we realize now that the cost of living and the devastation of what's going on with quarantine is not equal to a little stimulus check from the economy. Now we have more people who go on unemployment, and unemployment claims spike. So we have people who are unemployed trying to figure out that. And yes, there's stimulus in that as well, which is good, and that's helpful. And they're trying to even create another wave of this stimulus stuff, just to make sure that we can continue as a nation and continue to thrive and push forward. However, they keep running into this problem where they're looking at it and going like, is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough food for their family? Is that going to be enough money to financially support and pay their bills? Is that enough time for unemployment to last for these people? Or the bonus in unemployment, is that going to be enough? Or are these people going to be starving in 2 weeks, starving in 4 weeks? But then also realizing that there's also a big amount of people who stimulus was good, and everything's still okay. It's just now it's navigating, just trying to figure out how to cooperate and how to operate in a new society that felt like the old one. We want to go back to the old ways, but there's something there that we don't have a lot of answers about. And so there's a risk and a threat every single time we leave our home. And so there's people who want to wear masks, who don't want to wear masks, who want to go and riot, and who don't want to riot, who want to protest peacefully, and people who want to kneel in public, and people who don't want to do that, who want to start fights and build fires and break windows and be destructive. And that's a lot of tumultuous situations, or it builds into these really hard scenarios. And I was reminded of something that Moses was going through. And And it kind of made me think about this in the sense of, who God is in all this scenario. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just be like, wow, thank you, government, for all your mighty provision? And no, I want to be grateful for what they're trying to do and trying to be an assistant to what we do as humans and in our society. But God says something specific here, and I really liked what he said. I'm gonna backtrack to the verses right before this, but it is Numbers 11:23, and it says this. It says in 21 it starts, "But Moses said, 'Here I am among 600,000 men on foot, and you say, I will give them meat to eat for a whole month. Would they have enough if flocks and herds were slaughtered for them? Would they have enough if all the fish in the sea were caught for them?'" Basically saying, Moses is doubting what God can do. He's literally going to God and saying, like, "Hey bro, you could kill all the cattle and it's not going to be enough. You could catch all the fish and it's not even going to come close. So how in the world do you think you're going to do this?" I like God's answer. In 23, he goes, "The Lord answers Moses." He goes, first thing he says, I love this, "Is my arm too short?" Love that. The only reason why is because, like, it's not, we don't worship a T-Rex, so it's not like, yay, I'm going to do these things. It's just like, just to think of some sort of, in a physical sense of how we are created in his image. My arm span is pretty big, but if I think that the Bible says his arm span is as far as the east is from the west. So then he turns around and he says, "Now you will see whether or not what I say will come true for you." Short arms or not, we have a Bible loaded with promises, loaded with blessings and gifts, and the simplicity of it all is that God says, ask. If you don't ask, that's why it's not happening. And so when we are looking to the government for the answers, when we're looking for, from an external perspective, where we're going to get this provision, where we are going to get this health, where we're going to get this, our family relationships to improve, where are we going to get our sanity back? It isn't a government check. It isn't a a welfare program. Those are there. They're there to assist. But God says, bro, if it takes all the cattle and all the fish in the sea, you think my arm's too short to do that? I can. You bet I can. And that's the God that we worship. That's the God that takes care of my family and your family. That's the God that is mightier than all of this mess, that is mightier than all of the world and all of the universe. Man, if I had an opportunity to just sit back, turn down the noise, and recognize I can lean into that, knowing that I've asked him to help take care of me. And I'm not the one pulling a Moses and going like, sure, God, yeah, whatever. And God has to give me that almost a smart aleck answer. Are my arms too short? Wait, Moses, do you know who you're talking to? Man, I want to bring some encouragement to you guys this morning. That's really all I want to do. Is I want you guys to recognize that there are a lot of outside influences in what we're dealing with right now, and a lot of decisions we're seeing from people in all sorts of different directions, and some of you guys might feel differently in different ways about how all that looks and how all that should be and how it should come about for the next few months, and what are we going to be at in 6 months. I want to assure you that God has this. And when I say, when I see a word where he says, what I say will come true for you, that means you. What he says will come true for you. What he says will be the truth in your life. what He has promised will be the truth that you know. I hope you guys have a blessed week, and we'll see you next week. Love you all. Blessings.